Alright, in this video we're going to continue where we left off in the previous one and go ahead and fix our widget here. Now as you can see, I went ahead and actually made the buttons a little bit bigger so it's easier to see, but you can tell they're very small, the text does not fit inside of them or anything like that, so that's obviously a problem. So if we head over to our item widget, go to designer, and go to designer, here we have the item. So it's just, even though it looks different now, but pretty much the issue is the canvas panel. So what we can do is we can click our button, Control C, click the canvas panel, press delete, click on our type underscore item, and Control V, and now it's obviously fixed. Let me put that back so it's back to the middle, and problem solved. So now we head over to our inventory, or HUD I mean. As you can see, everything kind of fits as it's supposed to. Now, the more items we add, we can only go 2 over, and that's due to the item size, and it automatically kind of scales, well not scales, but positions and places the items based off of the sizing, so it's to fit it. So what we can do is we can go to our item, and we can just resize the text. Because if I go over here to desired, here's each item, as you can see, and I can scale it based off of the text. So if I drop it down and look at it, it shrinks. So we were at 80, and if I recall right, at 72, I think fit right. Yeah, we're gonna do 72, and that'll have it fit right there just to the edge, so we can add more and more items and it looks decently enough. Obviously, you would want to improve this. What am I doing? Wrong inventory. I just drag more items on. As you can see, whoops. We go 3 wide, and it just keeps going like that. So what we want to do is just give this a quick little test run. Pick it up, press I. There's our 2. There's no text. So it's going to scale as well based off of the text, which is kind of an issue. So what we want to do is we want to wrap this button inside of a size box, like so. So now when I click on the text, where's the size box? You should be fixed. Go back to desired. I thought that would have made it so it's fixed in place. But I'm going to go on a wild guess here and say that it's not. So that means I have to change something. One moment. Alright, I did a little bit of tinkering, and it was due to I didn't override the width and the height. So I want to kind of set these to something that's fixed. So we're going to check width and height override and crank these up. So for the width, my guess would be probably somewhere along the lines of 1200. And for the height, we don't want it to be much taller than the text. Let's try 5, 300, and we'll do about 250. So let's go ahead and give this text block a name. So something like, let's do item type 1. So it's going to be a little bit longer than that, most likely, give or take, depending on the item name. So that should give us a decent amount of space to fit it. So name that back to text. Now when we look at it, here you can see how it fits. So we can kind of change the size box to fit it accordingly. So we want to lower this down. Let's try actually, I don't know. What's the text scale at? All right, put that back to 72. So we want it to fit decently inside of that. Let's drop it back down. Let's try 150 by 600. All right, let's add more items. So how's this actually going to look? Those are way too big. So we're going to actually drop the size of the text down to something a lot smaller, like 40. Let's do 48. Then drop the size box down a good bit. Probably half that to like 300 by, let's do 80. And that's a good bit better size. And that also allows us to have more actually in there. So I'm just going to increase the height to 100, and let's give it some more room, because if we change the text to, again, item name 1, it doesn't fit. So that would be about let's do 450. And that still fits in there, so we can actually increase it a little bit farther if we want. Let's do 460. 475. That's a tiny bit too big, so 472. 470. Good grief. 468. All right, fine. 465. You should fit. There you go. So 465 fits 3 items. So that's what we're going to do for our size. Now we just want to have a way to actually have the, let's see, where do we set it? Yeah, when we go to create the item to add to our widget, we need to set the item name up. So we can't really use get display name or anything, because that's just going to return like BP interactable, so on. So inside of our interactable.h, I want to have another custom U property here. We're going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to have it be the item name. So we're going to create another U property called item name. Go to the constructor, not the constructor, we're going to modify our get text class. So it's going to be interaction text plus, let's do string, new space, plus item name. So that way we have a gap between the two. And then in our pickup interface, we're going to have a new function. So virtual void. Actually, we don't need this. That's not a problem. So interactable.h, we're going to do we'll just make a virtual string get item name. And that's just going to actually return item name. Simple as that. Let's go ahead and make it blueprint callable. And actually, we do want to put it in our pickup interface. So we're going to move that to our pickup interface. And that's so we can check if it implements the interface. If it does, we can simply call the function and get the value. So we're just going to have that return an empty f string inside of the interface, because I don't want it to have to force a return value, even though it actually, in this case, it probably should. But we're going to go ahead and override what am I doing? Get item name override. Oh, that's right. Go ahead and create the implementation. We just return item name. And I don't know if we put it as a U property in here, or a U function, I mean. We're going to go and make it blueprint callable. Category is just going to be, interactable again. And that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and close down the editor. Or you can, whoops. Go ahead and do a build. Relaunch the editor. And open everything right back up. We have our inventory here. Here we have our for each loop. What we're going to do is drag off the element we're on. We're going to do search for implements. So does implement interface, which it has to if we're going to pick it up anyways. So we're going to check if it does the pickup interface. Perform a branch. And it actually, let's see. So we can do that. So we can actually, what am I in here? Let me search for interface, see what all comes up. What does this do? We're not going to do that. We're actually going to just cast it to the interface. So we're going to cast to our pickup. I'll not do that. Let's see. So I know we can cast it to interactable, but I don't want to go based off of the actual actor itself, what I want to do is make it so, just like we did in, let me find it real quick, our grab actor, if it implements the pickup interface, then we pick it up. I don't want to make it specific to an actor. So if we had another actor, for example, that had a name that we wanted to get, we would want to go through the interface for that because it's kind of related to pickups. So this interactable could be anything. It might not even have a name, so to speak, but in certain cases, it will. So this item, in this case, actually does. But if we want to have different types of objects in our inventory, we could, do that. We could just add the pickup interface to it, and that item or that actor would now have the ability to be picked up and handled in different ways. So we want to just check. That's why I'm trying to figure out how to check if it has the interface and how to use the interface, because I've never actually done that in Blueprint. So it was the can't search for pickup. That's all that comes out with interface. Not sure how to use it. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Alrighty, I realized my stupidity here. So what we're gonna do actually is in our interface, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, because we don't want to cast it, therefore we don't need it to necessarily be blueprint callable from inside of a interactable. That's what we're trying to avoid. So instead, I'm actually going to copy that U function, go to our pickup interface, paste it in. We're going to go blueprint callable and remove the return so it doesn't complain. Head over back, or we actually need to add something. Yeah, we need to make this a blueprint native event as well in the pickup interface. Remove virtual. Now we should be good. Now in our interactable.h, we remove the override and the virtual, blueprint callable, and blueprint native event. So it's the exact same thing that's in our pickup interface. Then we're going to do virtual f-string get item name underscore. We need the implementation, and we override it. This implementation is now going to be part of the get item name. Well, it's going to be in our definition of it. So now we're good to go. So now if we go ahead and I got to restart the editor. We go ahead and build or compile. We should have no issues, and we should be able to just launch the editor right back up. Go back to what we were at before, which was our inventory. And now for this, we can delete the implement interface. We can drag off the array element and search for get item name. If we hover over it, it says target is pickup interface. So we can drag right off of our element and get that, and just drag it right into item name like so. So now let's just see what happens. Actually, let's make sure we remove these guys here first. Not sure if this will work or not. Press E. Nothing shows, and that's partially because we never actually set the item name. So this is going to be cube 2. And I'm going to remove the cube 2 from the interaction text. And same thing here for cube 1. The item name is cube 1, and the interaction text is just removed. All right, press E, and there we have it, cube 2 and cube 1. That is all dependent on the order as well. So cube 1, cube 2, it's all based off of which one is pressed first. So we now have it to where we can duplicate, add, remove our items, and all that kind of stuff easily. Change this one to cube, just random names. Yes, cube, blah, 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 doesn't really matter. Another, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, doesn't really matter. This would all be handled normally through like a data table or based off of the actual item type itself. But in this case, we're just doing one specific class. We're not having a bunch derived from another. but it all just picks up all the same, just like so. So we have that dealt with. So that's going to be it for this video. We are now set up to where we can actually have a way to interact with the items in our inventory. And in our case, we're going to set it up so we can drop them. So that will be started with in the next video. So as always, if you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description, where I have a Patreon-only course where we create Team Deathmatch from the ground up in Unreal Engine using C++. And if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord that is also linked down below, and I will see you in the next video.